Welcome into the Landon Tengwall Show, brought to you by the Student Bookstore, Downtown State College. Get all your Penn State merch needs. Gavin McKenna jerseys are well in stock. It is hockey season 2, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure you go down there on College Ave. No paywall, just Tengwall, guys. Hit that subscribe button. We will have a ton of content coming your way as we expect this to be a very busy coming weeks for the Nittany Lions and many new announcements, new players, all of that. I will have that all covered for you guys. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button. Penn State absolutely throttles Nebraska 37-10. What a moment for these players on senior night. What a moment for Terry Smith to walk off the field. Terry. I mean, it gave me goosebumps watching that go down. All the players with the higher Terry Smith signs. I mean, just the united feeling that we had last night, that everybody had, it truly was we are, and it was what Penn State represented. And so, like, if you're watching, and if you're you're Gen Z like myself, if you're a young person that just got involved into what Penn State culture is, you may not all the way understand what last night meant to a lot of people, what Terry wearing that 409 Joe pin meant to so many Penn Staters out there, from Letterman, who built this program, to alumni, to fans, to people whose family members went here. It meant a lot, and it's, it was seeing and putting everything out there for what Penn State is, what they actually represent, and for that to be honored again, it truly meant the world to so many people. Over the past 12 hours, I've talked to countless people, and you can just feel the emotions, and we'll talk about that in a second. Maybe are we leaning on our emotions a little too much with the higher Terry stuff? We'll talk about it, but I feel it. I know everybody else feels it. And I'll tell you guys, I mean, if you've been following me from the beginning, part of the reason I started doing media is because I wanted to learn about the past of Penn State. When I retired, I knew nothing about really, I had seen guys on the wall, and you got the All-American wall, but I didn't really know what Penn State meant. And I didn't know the people that built it. I never met any of them or heard about them. And so that was kind of my mission. And that's why I started interviewing a bunch of former players, and Letterman and Spider Caldwell and Guido D'Elia, and all these people that made Penn State what it was. And that was where a huge disconnect was. So as always, we are very open and honest here at the Landon Tengwall Show, and that's probably why many of you tune in, because you are going to hear what I actually think, not what someone wants me to say or what I want you to think. You're going to hear the real raw truth. So let's just talk and be open about this. We're 100% grateful for what James Franklin did for Penn State. I have my own, I'm grateful for the things, him giving me an opportunity, paying for my schooling. He did a lot of great things to help turn young men into great men out there in the world. But to be honest, James never got it. He never fully understood what it meant to be a Penn Stater. And you don't have to have went here or, have family here or whatever to be a Penn Stater and understand what that means. Because there's plenty of Penn State families and people that marry into families, and they get it. Joe Paterno, he wasn't a Penn Stater before he came here. When he came here from Brown, he had no connections to Penn State. And he embraced it, and he turned Penn State into what it is today. And I think James really missed the mark on realizing that and embracing that. And that's from talking. This isn't just coming from me. This is talking to a wide variety of people that I've spoken with that feel a similar way. And I'll just tell you guys, if you're not around State College, you don't generally hear all of this. You don't get all of this type of information. The running joke around State College was that Penn State football didn't start until 2014, because that's kind of how it was regarded. It was the lack of acknowledgement from James around the people who came before him. And you see this with Terry. Terry's wanted to do this. Do you think Terry was allowed before to do anything close to wear a 409 pin or have everybody wearing khakis on the sidelines, all of those things? No, he wasn't allowed to do that. And so, no, he wasn't. Do you think Terry, if he was in getting interviewed as just the DB coach, do you think he was quick to bring up Joe? Probably not, because guess what? Head man wouldn't like that. And that's what I mean. I'll just tell you, I didn't realize it when I was a player coming in, because I didn't know. I watched NFL football growing up. I didn't even watch college. But getting in the facility and talking to some people, and I look back and I'm like, yeah, there was never a single shred of evidence of Joe Paterno in the last football building. Not a picture, not anything. And I'll just be honest, like I said, we're just keeping it real. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, not just donors, because we've talked about that. Like, we've put that out there, that there was a disconnect between Franklin and the donors and whatnot. But it went deeper than that. Like, I can't tell you how many lettermen I spoke to that didn't feel like they were fully welcome back. And there's a lot of people that didn't go around the facility and things of that nature because they didn't feel like it was theirs. They felt like Lash was this foreign place where essentially, if you're not on the All-American wall, you're basically scrubbed and your stuff is scrubbed away because and Joe, for a lot of these guys, I do the shows with Goon, but I talk to guys, I mean, big time guys. I'm not going to throw names out there, but like, guys felt like they didn't want to come back because the man that was maybe the most important man in their entire life wasn't being honored, and it was like he never existed. So, and there, there was other things that we don't need to get into, but just like it was that lack and that disconnect that I really think kind of just fully ended it with Franklin and Penn State. And look, I'm not saying the next guy needs to come out, and if it's not Terry Smith, I'm not saying that the next guy needs to come out and wear a 409 pin every day and say Joe's name at every presser like Terry does. They obviously don't, because they wouldn't have played for him, and they don't have those same feelings. But what I'm saying is the next coach needs to understand and embrace the culture and what Penn State truly means. They need to take some time. I think that's one of the most important things when they're going around and they're going to the Creamery and they're going to Old Main and they're getting shown around the place. They need to fully immerse themselves in what Penn State is, immerse their family in it. And I think that's a big piece of what needs to come next for this next head coach. Like, I've only been a part of Penn State for 6 years now. It's felt a lot longer than that, and obviously I'm marrying into Penn State royalty here. My father-in-law is one of the greatest to ever do it here. Like, I've gotten to meet a lot of great people. I'm going on vacations with Kajana Carter and OJ McDuffie and all that. Like, it's great. It's so cool. Last night, I don't know if there was ever a moment that I have been more proud to be a Penn Stater than last night against Nebraska, watching Terry walk off that field, watching everybody just come together. And it's the most I've ever felt like we are all united as one, and we truly are. Like, we are Penn State. That is what it felt like. I'm getting chills even talking about it right now. And so, like I said, that's the reason I started all my content. The past of Penn State was kind of being shoved in a closet. And I was like, I want to interview these former players and coaches. I want to allow them to tell their stories of what Penn State meant to them. What did Joe Paterno, Sue Paterno mean to them? And just, be able to remember the past and recognize it. And you have to do that. You have to, especially like we all know, I don't got to tell you guys, we are different than any other place in the sense of, yes, I understand we need to move forward. And there's NIL, and it is a new world in college football. But we cannot forget our roots. That would be my biggest message to this next head coach. If it's not Terry Smith, you need to understand the roots of Penn State and how everybody feels about the past and just where we are today. Fully embrace it, move forward, continuing to grow, but still recognizing the past. I think that's one of the most important things. All right, that was my rant. So that was everything I wanted to say. Let's talk about this head coach situation now. Do I think Terry Smith will be the next head coach? Probably not, just because of the way everything's going. I think logistically there are definitely some questions I would have for Terry if I was Pat Kraft, from recruiting to NIL to your staff, because Terry has really only been at Penn State besides Temple, so he doesn't have as much, people to pull on you. You could grab, you work with Tyler Bowen from Ohio State, but there's not like you have this massive staff. If you're hiring, say, an Eli Drinkowitz, he's bringing his staff with him. I think that name has gotten lower and lower on the on as far as him being wanted here in State College. And I do think you look around, and when we started this thing, it was like, oh, there's absolutely no way it could ever be Terry. Like, we're gonna get Key, Brom, whoever you want to put up at the top, Signetti at the time, and slowly we've been crossing names off the list, and we're getting to the end of this thing. It's the week of, basically, of having to hire a coach. And I don't know where the hell we're going. And I don't know if Pat Kraft knows either, and I don't think anybody else knows. And so if you get to Thursday night, Friday night, and it's like, I don't have a good option, and we're looking at like Drinkowitz, like I just said, like, if we're gonna bring Drink here, I'd rather just keep Terry. I want it to be clear. Like, I do want Terry at this point. I just don't know logistically, and that is coming from the emotions. I do think, to be fair and put it all out there, I do think most of us, our emotions are clouding our best judgment. But that's also, I don't even know if that's all the way fair to say, because number one, look at NIL. Money is the most important thing in college football. It always has been, but it's tenfold now. It's sad to say, but recruits don't really care that much anymore about where they're going. They care about the paycheck that they're committing to. If Terry Smith is the head coach, Penn State will be able to access funds that they have not been able to access since Joe Paterno was at the helm. That's a fact. Him wearing, and that was a piece of it. I love the statement that Terry made, wearing the 409 pin, but that also energized a lot of people and a lot of big wallets. I will tell you that. So if Terry Smith is able to just unlock all this money and Penn State has more of a recruiting budget than they've ever had, I think that's the number one most important thing. I don't know. I think whoever comes next is going to see a lot of support from the donors, but that's where Pat Kraft is kind of in a pickle at this point. It's like he understands. He understands the type of support that Terry has right now and the type of support he would get if he were to make him the head coach. And like I said, it'd be a different situation if we're sitting here talking about, we're either going to hire DeBoer or Brom or Key. Then yeah, this is a completely different story. But guess what? This is the worst time in recent memory to need to hire a coach in college football. It's not even close. I mean, this is the biggest coaching carousel in a long, long time. Do you just say, hey, let's give Terry Smith a 3-year contract and see if he can kind of right the ship and just continue on with what he's doing? I think it's there's some real thought behind it. I'll tell you that. We see the guys with the hire Terry signs. Mike Robb at halftime giving quite the statement. Obviously, a Penn State legend in his own right. He fully endorsed Terry Smith and said, look, I'm tired of other people coming here using Penn State for money, etc. We want someone who understands what Penn State is. And I feel like that's the conversation that we should have. Like, let me know in the comments. There is a balancing of this, of we want someone who honors the past of Penn State, knows the tradition, and still keeps that alive. But it's also going to be college football in 2026 next year, and it is nothing close to how it was when Joe Paterno and everybody else was coaching. So you have to kind of do a balancing trick of those two things. I do think that is important. And like I said, you guys come here to hear the truth. Like I fully recognize that there are hurdles if you do to hire Terry Smith. Like I talked about the staff. My biggest question for Kraft would be, if I am Pat Kraft to Terry Smith, okay, who are you going to hire? Is this going to be a James Franklin 2.0 staff where it's all basically his guys, because that's really who Terry Smith has worked with? Can you convince some big-time OC to come in here? I do want to stick with Knowles, honestly. I think a lot of people feel that way. Can you convince some hotshot OC to say, hey, I'm going to come be the offensive coordinator for Terry Smith? Because let's be clear on this too. Your head coach doesn't need to be some mastermind on one side of the ball. Yes, that has been what has worked. Dan Lanning, defensive guy, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, like they're all on their side of the ball and their masterminds there. It doesn't have to be that way. A head coach can just be a head coach that is one damn good leader of men that knows how to put his foot down when it's needed. And we saw that with Terry Smith. The defense gets too complex. Well, guess what? Terry Smith made it clear that had to be fixed, and it has gotten fixed. It's gotten simpler. They even implemented some things that Manny Diaz did here as far as the Prowler package, where you got all those guys pressed up on the line of scrimmage and made it easier for them. It took a little while because Andy Kotelnicki just did not want to pass the ball down the field. But finally, we're passing the ball down the field, and you see what happens. And that is because I don't think it would have changed if Terry Smith didn't press forward and say, hey, guys, we need to change this. So you already see his ability to lead and how the guys feel about him. And I just knowing Terry and how he is and talking to guys, it's not. And this was part of James's problem, honestly. He wanted to be good friends with everybody. And the respect factor, as a player, speaking from a player standpoint, I have the most respect for the coaches that aren't buddy-buddy with me, but, they have great relationships. But there is that understanding and that respect of you're my coach and you're trying to make me a better man, and you might chew my butt out when I mess something up. And you could tell Terry Smith does that. And there were some real conversations in that last football building those first couple weeks with Terry Smith having to kind of straighten everything out and make it his team. And he said that. He said that walking out the field. He said, this is my locker room. And I love that. He has been incredibly respectful to James about everything. But Terry knows that how much work was needed. He knew what changes needed to be made and what was not going well. And there's certain things he couldn't have fixed just because James was the leader of this program. So he's trying to fix all that. And I think he's done a very commendable job, because that's not easy to walk in and say, hey, guys, most of you are, your draft stock's down. We're in one of the most horrific seasons in recent memory for Penn State, and we're going to rally the troops. And, he came in with a really tough 3-game stretch going at Iowa, at Ohio State, Indiana at home. But I was impressed with everything I've seen. So I think there's both sides of it. I think people on one side of the coin are saying, you guys are being too emotional. All you want to do is hire him because he's a Joe guy and he's representing that. There is some truth to that. And then there's the other side of the coin where it's like, hey, Terry Smith's done a damn good job. And he has salvaged this season in a way that I don't think many other guys have, from a standpoint of, if you have the wrong guy as the interim head coach, guys are just checking out. They're like, I don't care. I'm going to go to the league, or I'm going to go transfer somewhere else and try to get $1 million elsewhere. He has not allowed that to happen. And that's why I'm starting to get in more and more on Terry, because the other piece of it too is you don't have to sign Terry to a $9 million contract every single year. I'm sure he would probably take almost half of that. And guess what? That's way more funds for your OC, your offensive line coach, your whoever, your linebackers coach, like whoever it is. You have way more money to play with, not only because you're unlocking those donors, but because Terry's taking half of what a Rule or a Brahm or a Drinkowitz would command as far as their contract. So, like I said, I see both sides. I wanted to kind of present both sides. I'm a little biased because I'm a Penn State letterman and I love Terry Smith, and he helped recruit me and coach me, and I know the type of guy he is and what type of program he could build in seeing this. And I think it's funny, too, you kind of see Terry, when he first took over, I said it. I got the vibe like, this guy doesn't want the job, because he's getting up there. He's got bags under his eyes. He's trying to figure out a way to fix everything. James is fired. Everything's in disarray. And I think slowly he started to want it more and more and more. He got a taste against Indiana. They were so close. You come back, you get that first win. And then last night against Nebraska. And I think Terry having that win, them chanting Terry, Terry, walking off, and he said it in the same shoes as Joe Paterno and walking in the same path that he did. I think he really wants this thing. I think he wants to be the next head coach, and he's making it damn hard for Pat Kraft to say no to him. So that's going to be interesting to follow. That's my piece on the whole Terry Smith situation. I'm sure we will talk more about it this week. We will have some great videos cooked up for you guys. Let's talk about the actual game for a second real quick that occurred. Most put-together performance from this team. Watching them on tape, it looked like a completely different team than I had seen in any game, even really last week against Michigan State. Like, this was a squad that we expected to see all season long. They have fire lit underneath them. They're having fun. Guys are dancing. Like, Terry Smith helped bring this out in the guys. Katron Allen, take a bow, sir. One of the greatest to ever do it in the blue and white, now atop the all-time leading rushing list for the Penn State history. I mean, that's big-time stuff. He is Mr. Consistent. Katron, fat man, as you know him, will say nothing. He just wants to go to work every day, just loves football. I got so much love for that guy. He knows how to run the dang ball, always falls forward. I'm going to miss seeing Katron Allen in the blue and white. I'm excited to see what comes next, but damn, tip of the cap to you, man. That is a true Penn Stater right there. And shout out to the offensive line. Wouldn't have done it without them. They're going about 6 yards per carry yesterday. They were moving dudes. They looked like the Joe Moore Award offensive line that I expected to see all season. But, I mean, just caving sides of the line of scrimmage in, moving guys, pancakes. Venga put someone all the way basically like third row up in the seats. Like, that's how far he took him into the sideline and pancaked him. The tight ends, too. They must have heard me last week because I said some of the blocking was a little questionable. They went out there. They were burying guys. They were completely moving the line of scrimmage, reestablishing it 2 to 3 yards down the field. That's why the running backs had such a better day. Nick Singleton continuing to come on, look more confident as this has went on. And I think that's a piece of it too, not to go back to the Terry stuff, but the confidence that is in this program. They were so wound up and tight going into that Oregon game. And there was no sense of looseness. There was no, I'm going to walk in there and we're going to play ball and we're going to beat your blank. Like, that's the vibe I get from Terry. That was not the last vibe I got from the other guy. Let's just put it like that. Grunkemeyer, starting to look good. When your offensive coordinator actually calls plays down the field and opens things up, it's easier to look good and, allows you to have a running game. I don't know what changed for us to finally call plays down the field. I mean, Terry Smith was banging on the table for it, and finally he got it done. He was pulling teeth trying to get Kotonicki to pass the ball down the field. But Penn State did it, and you see an offense actually open up and operate like how a normal offense should look. That was the biggest thing. Like the first 7-8 weeks, we were watching an offense that looked incompetent. It truly did. It looked unserious, as I said. Last night, we finally got to see for the first time this season an offense that looked like a top-level offense and how they should look. And it was just cool to watch. Everybody was firing on all cylinders. Kyron Hudson putting guys in the dirt, blocking. I mean, everybody was giving their all. And it's hard to say it wasn't because of Terry Smith, because you've seen the speeches that he gives. You've seen the way this team has just been ignited. And it just makes me proud. It makes me happy. These guys did not quit on this season, and that's something to be proud of. And you fans, like the alumni, nobody quit on this season. They continued to show up and cheer these guys on, and I think that speaks volumes as to what Penn State truly is. Now, defense. Denied Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant. I love them going out on top. Both of them got a sack in their final game in Beaver Stadium. I thought that was beautiful. Just going out the right way. And just a lot of guys playing some really good balls. Akee Wheatley almost with a fantastic interception, but that was fitting for his end in Beaver Stadium to almost make a spectacular play like that. I'm really happy for these guys to show the dominance that they showed over maybe not a good Nebraska team, but they have a good record and they've beaten some good programs. So to come in, and I just think it shows you a glimpse of what this team could have been. I know that hurts. That hurts me as well, because I think we're all seeing what it could have looked like. Like, that is how dominant this team should have played all year. If it was simple, if it was fast, if they were motivated, if they had all that confidence in themselves, this is what it would have been. Now, I'll tell you, on defense, a couple young guys I was impressed with. Alex Tash, true freshman, number 25. 40 is Specca. 25, Tash was playing all over the field. He started playing a little bit more for Dom DeLuca. Looked really good. That's someone I want to keep around. Flying around. He can be a part of that LBU. Keep him around, because I like how he plays. Tenacity, quickness. He's got sideline to sideline speed. He could be a Mike Will backer for sure in the coming years in this defense. And then another true freshman, Yvonne Kemiju. Great game. Number 99. He's started to really come on the scene these last couple weeks, but putting it all together, gets his first career sack. That's someone, we don't know what's going to happen with Chaz Coleman. Chaz hasn't played in like 3 weeks. Who knows where that is going to go? Well, keep Kemiju around, because he looks like the real deal. He's a specimen. He's got really good length, but that burst that he has, that's the type of stuff that you cannot teach if you are a defensive line coach. And so that's someone I'm marking down. Whoever this next head coach is needs to pay him handsomely and keep him around, because that could be a starter at defensive end in 2026. Beat Rutgers, and you're going bowling. And hear me out, Christmas in New York, guys. If Penn State beats Rutgers and they become bowl eligible, I can't believe I'm saying that at the end of this season, but if that does happen, let's take down Shiana one last time. I don't see any way the Pinstripe Bowl doesn't go after Penn State, because these bowl committees, they decide who comes. Obviously, you have to hit a certain number of wins, but they get to decide. If I had the option to bring a Penn State fan base and they're all the way behind Terry Smith, I want to bring that fan base. They're gonna spend a lot of money. They're gonna buy the tickets, all of that, absolutely, without a doubt. And you look around, could be Clemson, could be Pitt in that game. I think either one. I'd rather have Clemson, honestly. Pitt's kind of little brother. I think that'd be awesome. I think that'd be a great way to end the season. Now, this coming week, and actually I'm going to film obligatory right now, we're going to talk about the logistics of what that would look like. Our coach is going to leave right after the Rutgers game. Like, the people that are going to go join James Franklin, are they already going to go with him? A lot of seniors might opt out of that game, because that's 27, 28 days of NFL draft training that they could be doing instead of staying here. A couple guys going to be remembered and say, hey, I want to play in this bowl game for Terry Smith. A lot of different things that could be going on with this. I'm excited, but first order of business will be take care of Rutgers. we will have some great content for you guys this week. I do just want to say, just feeling all this love and emotion in the air. I just want to thank you guys for continuing to support me. This has been a fantastic season. We've grown almost double here at the Landon Tengwall Show, doubling our subscriber count. You guys have been spectacular. I think you guys all know kind of my vision of what I want to be. I want to be at the top of college football coverage, but I always want to stay here in State College. I don't know where life will take me, but this will forever be home. So I want to raise my family. It is such a unique place, and I have so much love for it. And I just hope we continue keeping on. Go State. We are. Keep wearing that blue and white. Let's cheer these guys on. As much as it hasn't been the season we all hope for, I think this end is going to be something that we can all remember for a really, really long time. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.